Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here at Elevated Planet.
And Jolé Gabrielle here at Elevated Planet, and we'd like to welcome you to today's show. We're excited to be here and excited to have you, and we have a lot in store. And as I was telling John the other day, as we reach out, they reach back. So let's reach out, and John's going to tell us more about it.
Yeah. Crazy times, crazy good times, because these are times of great transformation, and I'm excited about it all. And the this topic this week, very topical, is about the European blackouts and the backdrop to that. And to do that, we're going to tap into again Elizabeth April as we did last week. And she's a source of a lot of fantastic information and in great integrity as well. But also we've got Stefan Burns coming in. We've viewed Stefan's work on a number of occasions over this last year or so, where we tap into his knowledge about solar flares and the likely impact and potential earthquakes and various other weather phenomena which can be related back to solar activity as well as a bunch of other things that he's really quite knowledgeable about. So, so that's good, as well as also tapping into again the Galactic Federation of Light. We have Layti with us this time, wrapping things up with us at the end. But yeah, the European blackouts, it must have been very, very challenging for a lot of people to be dropped into that, obviously with no warning at all. People getting off the trains, walking up the train tracks and things like that just to try and get back to civilization and being out of position and everything. It's a remarkable situation. But that is where, because originally the show was going in a slightly different direction. And I wanted to cover off something we'd covered before because it's really quite meaningful. And we will definitely cover off that particular thing because that was a life after death kind of thing, the a near-death experience thing. But it's one that we've tapped into before. But I just think every now and again you've got to go back into this because you've got to realize what this journey is about, right? This is the fact is we're kind of actors in a play while we're here in the physical on Earth, and we're here to enjoy ourselves. We're here to make the most of this opportunity. And Andy Petro is that man who kind of really helps to recreate that perspective for us so that, we truly can, find that place of joy, find that place of neutrality at the very least, and just enjoy the changes that are going to take place as best we can, because I know there's going to be darker times as well. So Elizabeth is going to take this away. Now, bearing in mind, this first section was recorded in March. It was recorded probably more than a month and a half ago. And given what she was talking about, the subject matter is imagine if there was a great big blackout, right? How prophetic is that? And how did she come by that? So that's where we're going with this first section. So bear with me a second. We are going to get straight into that right now.
Last time I was live on this channel, my live got shut down halfway through, especially during some truth bombing moments. So, fingers crossed that this is going to be all right, because we're going to talk about some truth bombs today as well. If you've ever wondered about a giant blackout potential situation happening on planet Earth, that's what I'm going to cover today. Just a reminder, I am a remote viewer, and specifically where I gained access to this information is through remote viewing the most probable situations connected to the collective consciousness on planet Earth. Please keep in mind that there is no psychic who could ever be 100% correct. And the reason why is because we are simply tapping into future probabilities and timelines. In this weird quantum world, all timelines are existing simultaneously, and it is truly up to the free will of both the individual and the collective to determine where we go from here. Now, this is a very important statement to make because we're also going to be talking about a brand new TV show that just recently came out that triggered the topic that I'm talking about today. And I want to talk about something called predictive programming, what it is, how it affects us, and how we can essentially thwart predictive programming with our conscious awareness. So we're going to get into all of that. I do have a probability for you, a percentage of what is the most likely chance we are going to get hit with some sort of blackout situation, whether that be through an attack, an agenda, or potentially even a solar flare. So we're going to get into that today. Without further ado, before I get into it, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this video to other conspiracy theorists or people who are just in your life who are questioning the narrative. I think a lot of people are waking up right now, and it's really nice to have somewhere to go with all of your questions. Not that I have all the answers, but we're getting there. We're working on it. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's talk about predictive programming first and foremost. So there's a new Netflix TV show. It is called 0 Day, and it is essentially about, I don't want to say the word, but let's say a T attack, okay, happening in the United States and it wiping out the power grid, and then like all chaos ensues. I haven't actually seen the show, but I just saw the, I guess, advertisement for it. And immediately I knew what was going on, which is predictive programming. So now a really great example of predictive programming is The Simpsons, right? In so many ways, they have quote unquote predicted so many different, very weird moments that we have walked through. And so we can look back and say, wow, the writers of The Simpsons, they must be psychic, or they must be intuitive, or they must be picking up on something. However, when we start to understand the manipulation of society and what predictive programming really is, we actually reverse the entire thinking that they are predicting the future. And we start to realize that they're actually, in a sense, writing the future. Okay? We all know TV, television, what is it called? It's called television programming. And the elites, or the powers that were, have utilized this programming as their greatest propaganda tactic to essentially write out what they want us to co-create. One of the biggest laws in the universe, and likewise one of the biggest laws on planet Earth, is the law of non-intervention. So as much as the elites and the deep state would love to intervene, would love to step in, would love to force us into things like war, or believing that there are sides to this world, or that, we're not just all human and that we all have these own individual identifications and I'm different than you because I identify with a million different things. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. There is no separation, right? But they are leading us to believe that. And TV and television programming is the perfect way to manipulate our consciousness into creating the reality we see, okay? The biggest thing that this elite agenda, conspiracy, this group of individuals, they have to abide by this law of non-intervention. And the way that they manipulate that and get around it is by feeding us information. And through feeding us information, we then therefore accept that information. And through accepting or believing that information, we project it into our reality. We create it. They cannot force us into anything. We have to agree to it. And this is where they utilize television and entertainment. And unfortunately, all of the celebrities, which are really just their pawns, their puppets, it's pretty sad. They force us into co-creating what they want through these programs. And when I saw this TV show, this 0 Day, which was about essentially the entire electrical grid going down in America, I immediately realized and saw it for what it is. This is predictive programming. So then I had to tap into it. All right, what's really going on? What really is their plan? Okay. And there's definitely a plan here. Now, there's sort of two things that are happening simultaneously. There is the true thing that is happening, okay, which is we're getting hit with more and more solar flares. We're going into a solar maximum. There's a really good chance and possibility that a big solar flare could take out our electrical system or short circuit, essentially things on planet Earth. That would be more of a localized sort of blackout. And then there's sort of the agenda of, oh, sorry guys, yeah, this was an attack from a neighboring country, which could potentially spawn war, or it could just simply create chaos, which is what they want. They want us in fear. They want us essentially co-creating the next big war as well, okay? The only reason why I wanted to talk about this 0 day and this predictive programming, it's not to further feed into that narrative. It's so that you can enjoy things like cheesy reality TV or this programming, because I do too. You can enjoy it, but enjoy it with a very open mind. Enjoy it by understanding what their plan is. Their plan only works if we are unaware of it, right? If we are only just allowing information into our subconscious, we are then co-creating this reality through our subconscious. If we are consciously showing up to the programs and television and the information input, then we can never be manipulated because we're just too consciously aware.
So this was recorded over a month ahead of the European Blackout. So this is really very insightful and triggered by the awareness of predictive programming. It's great to have this explanation and awareness so that we can watch anything with objectivity and discernment. It all makes sense really, because we are truly powerful creators, but for thousands of years we've been unconscious powerful creators. So the puppet masters have used this as a weapon against us to fulfill their control agenda. In recent decades we've been TV programmed. But from this point onwards, we can view things objectively and with discernment, so our new filters prevent this becoming part of a subconscious programming that means we're quantumly entangling with the dark narrative and adding to the collective consciousness in a way that we would not consciously choose to, as well as directing our own timeline reality into unnecessary density. Awareness is key. And The Simpsons, as an example, is absolutely spot on. I recently saw a bunch of clips that had been pulled together on YouTube to make that very point. The accuracy of future events was quite staggering, albeit portrayed in a typical comedic Simpsons kind of a way. We've been manipulated through TV and social media, which is for the most part also controlled by the elites. With awareness, you can now spot predictive programming in its many and varied forms and observe it with detached amusement rather than buying into the narrative that would encourage it into your reality. The positive side of this is that it underlines once again just what powerful creators we are. And when we do it consciously, focusing on our desired outcome and come together with a shared vision for, let's say, a world of unspeakable beauty, then guess what's going to happen? So all aboard the higher timeline train as it's leaving the station soon, and it can't be stopped, even if they switch off the electricity, as our train is powered by the magnificent energy of elevated consciousness. What would you care to add, Jolé?
You know, she speaks about how there's a future timeline happening. So some psychics and intuitives and clairvoyants, it's not always going to be 100% accurate. And I'd like to dig a little deeper in that and say that you are your own psychic and clairvoyant. So to really tune into your own intuition is what is going to help you to figure out your next steps. Oftentimes we have been programmed and conditioned, as she also speaks about, through predictive programming and through our education systems and our government to really put the power into the hands of other people, to basically close down shop of our intuition and to listen to orders and rules and directives. Now we're in such a wonderful place since everything seems to be breaking down. We have the opportunity to elevate our consciousness. She spoke about the powers that were, which is very beautiful because you are the powers that be. We are the powers that be now. So really taking time, I cannot express this more. I know people believe that you have to keep your feet have to be fast to do things, to make money, to be successful. But that timeline is shifting into slowing down, listening, detaching, and also not so much planning as much as listening to that intuition. So I love what she talks about. I love the direction she's going in, but always remember when in doubt or when you're not sure, hunker down and ask yourself the question and look for the answer because God is in you and your intuition is a direct line to receiving those blessings and those gifts.
Fantastic. Very well said, Jolé. That was brilliant. Okay, now we are going back to Elizabeth again.
It really felt like it was one of their last ditch efforts. Like it really felt like this was one of their sort of, oh shit, we're losing control. And then they do that. Okay, so it's a control technique. Yeah, and then exactly what I said. I wrote down here in my notes, shut everything down to swoop in with control. So it felt like if they felt like they were losing control over the population or they were losing control over the systems that run this old Earth system, this planet, by shutting down the electrical system, it's like, oops, where did all that money go? I don't know. We shut it down. Like basically by dismantling everything for that time period, they're able to regain control and say, oh, well, this new system is going to be better, right? It's part of that 2030 agenda. So I thought that was really fascinating. It's really just for more control. Part of it is chaos, part of it is fear, maybe part of it is depopulation. That's always sort of a part of their plan. But the main core of it is to take back over the systems and to expedite some of their plans that they have not been able to push through. I also saw, okay, a little bit of good news. If it gets to that point, I did see that this plan will backfire on them, whether that be people waking up, whether that be just the plan itself not going the way that they wanted to. It just feels like, and it's kind of similar, like they stick their foot in their mouth all the time, right? Their plans always backfire on them in one way or another. So I guess there's a little caveat there. All right, cool. Let's talk about solar flares because, back in 2011, when I first met the Galactic Federation and I had that meeting inside the moon, which I know sounds crazy, one of the things that they talked about that I never even considered was that there was going to be this wave of energy and the wave of energy was going to take out the grid, okay, take out the electrical system on planet Earth. And that is the day that I became a prepper. It's not about fearing the worst case and feeding it. It's just about feeling prepared and saying, cool, bring it on, planet. You're about to shut down. Like, I'm good to go. You know what I mean? It's about preventing the fear if a worst case scenario were to happen.
So, the deep state's getting increasingly desperate, and whatever tools they have in their armory are going to be released. Blackouts are a great way of sowing chaos and disruption, which in turn helps them get buy-in for people to give away their freedoms in time for the 2030 agenda. Except, like Elizabeth said, I believe this is destined to fail, because rather than creating division, it will create community, with tribes of people coming together to support each other during the challenges as people move more into their hearts. And they will be less distracted by the dark media narratives that they can no longer hear. And a drop in electromagnetic frequencies could be quite helpful too, as it reduces the level of positive ions in the environment, allowing things to move towards a more natural harmonic state, albeit just for the duration of the blackout. This will be a catalyst for many to begin their awakening journey, and at that point, there is no going back. So solar flares is a topic we've covered multiple times, as well as talking about the prophesized 3 days of darkness, which were talked about by the wonderful Ann Tucker, who channels the angels. So the idea of being prepared for eventualities for if a blackout event were to occur will allow a deeper level of inner peace as when and if it were to happen. Back in 1859, the Carrington event knocked out the European and American telegraph system.
The Carrington Event refers to the biggest solar storm ever recorded, occurring in 1859. A solar or geomagnetic storm is caused by coronal mass ejections, which travel outward from the sun at speeds up to 3,000 kilometers an hour. If this highly charged plasma reaches Earth, it interacts with our planet's magnetic field, causing intense geomagnetic disturbances. If a similar event were to hit Earth today, our world's high-tech infrastructure would come to a grinding halt. Damage to GPS, telecom, aviation, internet, and electrical infrastructure would set our civilization 200 years back in time for at least 2 weeks.
So, to Elizabeth's point, preparing for a blackout makes sense. Ensuring adequate drinking water is available, as well as non-perishable foods, sources of heat, a barbecue for cooking, and other items that will turn the blackout into a camping adventure, albeit one in your own home. Maybe even enjoy getting back into the natural world without the distraction of the endless bombardment of external stimuli that often is not there to serve our highest good. Maybe the next time you friend someone, it will be someone you're physically interacting with in the real world rather than through the matrix grid system. We get to rebuild our connection to community, nature, and our living, breathing planet. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm even starting to feel excited about the blackouts. Or is that just me? Okay, Jolé, what would you care to add?
She speaks on a perspective, and her perspective is really beautiful. If you look at her, she's just so full of light and joy, even though she knows what's coming. And we too can sit in that space where she's at with a neutral perspective and understanding that the only constant is change. And once we begin to flow with our intuition and definitely our universe and what goes on around us, things become very simple. Now, I know she wasn't talking about glamping, and neither was John. That would be great, right? But what they're saying is we'd like for you to just get prepared so that if something were to happen or does happen, you are in a state of calm and peace so that as everything is going crazy around you, you are there and you could possibly protect yourself if that's necessary, your family, and then you could also help other people. But we can't do that from a place of panic and from a place of fear. So neutrality is our best bet during this time for survival. So they talk about putting together a physical prepping sort of thing, but you also want to make sure your emotional toolkit is filled as well. So during these times, make sure you have your water and your food, but also make sure you have some of those self-care magical instruments around with you so that during those rough times, you can have a soft place to land for yourself and maybe for others.
Fantastic. Yeah, that all makes sense, Jolé. That is wonderful. And yeah, we should do an elevated planet camp when it happens, I think.
Yes.
Yes, or a commune, whatever. Like, we'll make the magic happen. Right, okay, so now we go back to Elizabeth April, but now we go forward in time. We go forward in time to this week, 28th of April. Elizabeth did a remote viewing to investigate the cause of the blackout in Spain and Portugal and various other areas as well. So that's where we go, and then that leads into Stefan Burns, and then back to Elizabeth. And then we'll see you on the other side.
So today we're going to be talking about the Blackout event that is actually still currently happening in Europe right now. So my biggest question when I went over to Spain to check into these blackouts is, was this a naturally occurring event or how did this occur? And so I immediately went to essentially a small group of people who was in charge of conducting this. This was a planned operation. There is no other way to describe this other than what is happening in Spain and Portugal is a planned operation. And also within this planned operation, they actually didn't really expect it to affect Portugal. So their main target was Spain, and for whatever reason, it ended up affecting Portugal, but that actually wasn't their main target or wasn't their main plan. So just keeping that in mind. All right, moving on. So they needed a neutral reason. So I asked why. What are they saying on the front end why this happened? And this is what they're reporting on right now. Half of the reports is we don't know why this is happening. We don't know why millions of people are out of electricity right now. And then the other half of the reports are saying that a large oscillation in the electrical voltages. That's why. That's why millions of people are out of electricity and without water and stuck in places all over Spain and Portugal right now.
They're calling this an induced atmospheric vibration, okay? So if you go to just any search, okay, and type that in, let's just do this, right? Induced atmospheric vibration. You'll notice all the articles from today, right? Basically talking about this rare atmospheric phenomenon, induced atmospheric vibration, blah, 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 blah. But this is a specific scientific term that it's easy to find across other sources. So if we go, let's actually go to Google, because Google is a little bit better than DuckDuckGo for things like this. So we'll do induced atmospheric vibration on Google, but we are going to change our date range. This is the first thing I want to do, to a custom range, and we'll do from 2020, and we'll go up to just a couple days before today, all right? Because this didn't happen until today, so we shouldn't expect any news articles on this until basically today. So we'll set this for like April 26th even, all right? And you won't find anything with those specific, that term, induced atmospheric vibration. We can actually even put this in quotations, okay? So this is like the first thing that I did when I learned about this, right? Put it in quotations, it really goes off the rails. It has nothing as it relates to that. But if that was a common scientific term, right, and that this is measured and been happening, then we would be seeing that show up nicely on Google search for a variety of things, or for example, other power outages caused by that. Instead, we get a whole bunch of scientific articles, and it does, like this one here is talking about atmospheric resonances and their coupling to vibrations of the ground and waves in the ocean. So there's some things that are kind of related. I do a lot of research into things like this, which is why I'm doing the live stream. Collision-induced vibrations in atmospheric molecules as a path to renewable radiant energy. It's kind of there, but not really. So nothing as it relates to that. So kind of odd that they're using this specific term, but that's not showing up anywhere. And if we actually go to Google Scholar, all right, let's do this. This is the next thing that I did, is I went to Google Scholar and I typed that in. And yeah, you don't get really anything as it relates to it. So the point that I'm getting to here is that, like, I'm not seeing any evidence in like the research, right? This is not set for just 2020. This is just any time for the research here, that this is something that's been talked about, looked into, whatever. Now let's actually see if I can find that article that I pulled up before that gave a better explanation for it, because then I can dig into that, because I have a pretty good understanding of this. Yeah, I think this is the article here. And here we see the drop in the power grid. Now it's a little bit of time has elapsed since then. So yeah, let you eat the bugs. Okay. Okay. Induced atmospheric vibrations in high voltage power lines refer to low frequency oscillations, typically 0.1 to 10 hertz, caused by corona discharge effects near the conductors. So let's do a breakdown of that. The corona is like the atmospheric electricity surrounding something. We have the same thing with the sun. The sun is a corona, okay? So if you have discharge from that, then it can induce these low frequency oscillations in these high voltage power lines, and supposedly that can cause them to get kicked offline. So ionization of surrounding air molecules occurs because these high voltage lines operate near their corona inception threshold. So basically they're running so much current through these lines that they can actually start to ionize the air surrounding them. creating positive and negative charge carriers like electrons and protons. Basically, they're splitting apart probably water molecules. And then under certain conditions, high humidity, for example, or high temperatures, these can interact with the electric field and generate periodic electrohydrodynamic forces. So now you have these ions, and because they are embedded within an electromagnetic field, they can start to vibrate. Every plasma has a natural resonant vibration to it. And as a result of these vibrations, they're saying that they create pressure waves in the air. And this can then cause there to be these induced vibrations in the lines. And as a result, everything can basically go offline. And so that's what they're explaining. But if you look, let's go to our climate anomaly map here, our temperature anomaly map. And we're going to talk about this heat wave that's going through there and also there. You know, look at this heat wave running through. Also, check out the heat wave in Antarctica. This is a climate anomaly, all right? Temperature anomaly, that is insane. This is deviations from normal, massive temperature increases in parts of the world right now. Severe weather in the United States, in the upper Midwest. But let's go back here. You know, our climate's not that off. I mean, you have these sort of anomalies. It's not like you never have, you know, variations in temperature as anomalies. So them saying that it was due to an excessive heat wave through here, I'm not really buying that, because we look here and this isn't a significant disruption. Now, if this had been happening, let's say in Pakistan, where they're having a massive heat wave, or anywhere in this zone, I'd be a little bit more liable to kind of believe that narrative. But high temperature, like induced atmospheric oscillations, and there's no evidence of that phrase being used in the scientific literature, I am definitely like, what? This is a little odd, okay?
That's what they're saying. But very specifically, when I look at the back end and this planned operation, they needed a neutral reason to blame, right? Not a solar flare, not a terrorist attack. They needed a neutral reason, and this is their reason. So why? That was my next big question. Why would they plan something like this? Now, look, guys, like weird natural disasters and weird natural things, they really do happen all the time. And there have been plenty of times I remote view something and I'm like, well, that's boring. There's nothing behind it. And I'm very honest about that. Okay. And I would say that if this was the case, and it's just not the case. This is a very strategically planned operation that happened and is happening. Why would they do this? They wanted to see how the population would respond. This was a test. It's a test. This was a test. Okay.
And we're back. So I'm not surprised. All I can say is I am not surprised that this is the answer. Now, okay, you have to believe in the ability of remote viewers. The major armies across so many countries have got teams of remote viewers. The governments have known about this. The military have known about this for the longest time in terms of an ability. And Elizabeth, I believe, is a guiding light here on Earth to help us understand at the level of this humanity exactly what is going on and why. So thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you, Stefan, as well, for the explanation from a scientific perspective about the nonsense that was put forward for a rationale as to what actually happened. So, you know, it's interesting, isn't it, that it was a test. It was a test, as Elizabeth says, because it's not the first time they've done a test in recent times either, because the same thing was true of the drones saga that took place, what was it, about like October, November, going into December of 2024, where there were all those lights in the sky and it turned out to be drones. And, you know, it was kind of looked a bit like an alien attack, but it wasn't really. But there was no clear explanation as to what was going on. Again, Elizabeth looked at that. It was a test. They wanted to see how humanity would react to this, because they've got something else up their sleeve that is going to be bigger, right? And that to me is kind of what I would expect to happen, because if you think about what the deep state has in its armory, right? I wrote down a few things earlier just to think, okay, What do we know that they're capable of doing? Okay, well, blackouts, right? Yeah, they've had their test over in Spain, Portugal, and little bits of France and various other places. And, this was to work out what the reaction was going to be to this, because obviously there are bigger plans afoot to wind this out elsewhere. Pandemics, the COVID control mechanism and biological weapon that it was, right? That supposedly, people were pointing the finger at China from where it came from, Wuhan or whatever. But the fact is that, that was something that came out in the interview as well with Dr. Jo Whitaker as part of the Crystal Water Experience team, with her 3 clinical degrees, which made her one of the foremost authorities in the world as to look at the COVID situation and listen to what the media was saying, what the government was saying. And she could see it was nonsense. It was utter nonsense. So the fact is, it's not that COVID didn't exist because it was engineered to exist. But the fact is, it was a control mechanism, and it was like, again, a dummy run for what would happen if there was going to be another pandemic. And then you've got the drone test is the fake alien invasions, or it could be a holographic projection that they use. They don't actually have to use craft as such. And the ones that they did use were propeller crafts, not anti-gravitational. So you can tell it was kind of like something that you could provide standard rationale to, rather than something that is not publicly available as information, that we've actually conquered anti-gravity back in, 1953 in the US Naval Laboratories or whatever. And then there's obviously the use of division energy is big time out there, driving fear, hatred, and trying to create wars, because depopulation, as Elizabeth said, is always a big part of their agenda. And how do they do this? Well, it's their control of the mainstream media and working out what narratives are going out there. And, so many people out there are still, avidly watching this. And, this is not anybody's fault that you actually take this on board as your version of reality, because we're told from day one that, oh yes, we can trust these sources. This is the news. This is the BBC. This is whatever. But the fact is, we get told what to think. We are television programmed, TV programmed, as Elizabeth put it. So, and the news always focuses on the negative. There's never any balance to it. And we know that there's an equal amount of light and dark, but that it just shows you they are very focused on the dark, because that is where they want us. They want to keep our vibration low, which means that we're easier to control. Social media and disinformation, they have control over the social media as well. There's a lot of disinformation, and there's also a lot of shadow banning takes place to control the narrative that people pick up from social media. I mean, if you look at, if we go back a few months ago, we were getting videos which were viewed by thousands, right? I mean, it was kind of always patchy, sometimes it was a few hundred, sometimes it was several thousand, and sometimes it picked up really quickly, 1,000 a day. On one of them, it was going, and then all of a sudden it just like stopped. So, that's a strange kind of way to do it. It usually kind of accelerates. Now, when our videos go out there, we are struggling to get the viewership over 100. Now, why would that be? Well, I'll let you fill the gaps in on that one. But I would say, please do share the video because, the marketing that we do on these videos is actually pretty robust nowadays, because we got somebody who helps us with that. But the fact is that is not the reason we're not getting seen. So, people sharing this through their own social media contacts, if they, to people that will get it, because I know this is not a mainstream kind of subject, but I just kind of wanted to plant that out there. So, disinformation and shadow banning gives them a degree of control. Weather weapons is another one that's very interesting because, I was speaking to a lady actually this week. In fact, we're arranging an interview for later this month. Her name is Ashley Mosaic, and she's a very interesting lady. You're going to love the interview when it comes out. I mean, she's living in Asheville in North Carolina, which was one of the towns that was really badly hit by the Hurricane Helene. And she knew that that was a result of weather weapons. Now, okay, maybe you get a natural hurricane at the start and then it just gets accentuated and accentuated. And weather weapons exist. And people talk about, has it been HAARPed? And because HAARP is the one up in Alaska where multiple governments came together to create this, to mess around with the ionosphere, to work out how you could manipulate weather. but I don't think it's HARP. I think this is the weather weapons that are actually down in Antarctica. And it may sound a little bit far-fetched to those who don't know about this stuff, but I'm pretty confident that's the kind of source of these things. And the Hurricane Milton that followed it, again, their agenda was to build that to something that was going to be catastrophic. But what happened is that people like Elizabeth April and a lot of other people around the world who realized what was going on came together to meditate to actually defuse the energy in that hurricane so that by the time it hit landfall, it was dropped from a category 5 to a category 3. And it did nowhere near the level of damage it was intended. So weather weapons, bear that in mind as well. Assassinations, well, they've gone on for many, many decades now. A lot of this information will emerge more officially in the years ahead, because that is this time that we're in now, is where information comes to the surface a lot more readily. But also character assassinations is also a big one, which again is backed up by their control of social media and mainstream media. So you can make it a pretty convincing case to destroy somebody's character by making something up that sounds ultra believable, and you put that across all the media, and you all of a sudden are not going to be you're going to be destroyed from that perspective. So, that's also something. Also, they get celebrities and influencers and politicians to kind of like give their narrative. So people who follow those people will also follow that narrative. And if you tell people lies often enough, you tend to get believed. So that's kind of what they've got, but they no longer are going to get things their way, and it is already happening. So this time of transition, the energy is not going to be supportive of dark agendas. And the Z's also said this, like Lee Harris and the Z's. So he channels the Z's, and they've already said this. Now, because the frequency on the planet is rising, it's getting more difficult for the denser energies to kind of like really stick the way that they used to be able to. We've also got the White Hat Alliance that is counteracting a lot of the plans. They have an awareness. They have these people in high places, in governments, in corporations, and all the places where the skullduggery takes place. These people are planted to kind of spot this and be able to deflect it away. So there's a lot more things that would have happened had these things not been working in our favor. But this is the time that we're in now. And so humanity stepping into our power and becoming consciously aware and exercising our objectivity and discernment is where we really are going to step into our power, using, our collective consciousness, coming together in community and using our collective consciousness to create our world of unspeakable beauty and all those fantastic things, which are going to happen. I just know it is going to happen, because that is why we are here. So, one other thing I was going to mention actually as well is Elizabeth April did offer some prepping advice. She has a section on her website. So what I'm going to do on the newsletter tomorrow, I am going to provide a link to that section of April's information, because I think it's quite an interesting thing to look at actually, because if you're thinking about prepping for yourself, then have a look at the list, because it's a well thought out thing, and it gives you a good idea about the kind of things to think about. So anyway, that's all I am going to say. I know it's a lot, and I do love me a soapbox to stand on every now and again, but Jolé, can I bring you back in, please?
All of this is just such a great learning experience for us as earthlings and earth beings. And neutrality, I just want to stress that again during these times. It's because the programming and conditioning John talked about and Elizabeth talked about is meant to squeeze and is meant to take you from one extreme to the next. Whereas when you are in your Zen state, when you are in your neutrality and you just let things flow through you and you stay on your path, that is part and parcel of locking in with others of the same mind to push back that energy. So we just ask that you listen again to your intuition and to the energy that's coming in. Believe in yourself, because everything that's outside of you is saying something different. So the radical thing to do would be to listen to the love that is pouring through you.
Yes.
And that is what is going to get you there. That's what's going to get you through some of this. I get that, I'm not trying to generalize or say that everybody is going to be like that. But for the most part, you have a better chance of getting to where you want to go when you're joyful, when you're loving, when you're neutral, than you would by buying into some of the stuff you've been programmed. So it's really time for us to purge out of ourselves the past that no longer supports us, so that we can step into this new energy of freedom, sovereignty, and unspeakable beauty, because it's there. You know, there's a saying, when there's blood on the streets, it's time to buy, right?
Yes.
So let's apply that to something spiritually, meaning when there's gnashing and wailing of teeth and people don't know what to do, be that light, be that one ballast, or whatever you want to call it, that rooted, that grounded person in who you are, that can hold others up as well, because that's what we're moving into. We can see, I mean, people are really out here losing the plot. You know, we're going backwards in so many ways, especially in America. But it is what it is. All you can do is hold the space for something better, you know, and that doesn't mean falling within those conversations and picking a side. It really means standing strong in what is right.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that makes an awful lot of sense. And you know, one of the things that made me think actually, you do the daily dose, the affirmations these days, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
today's was, I am the creator of my own reality, therefore I visualize the most loving outcome, right?
There
That
you
is
go.
that is so absolutely on point for this particular conversation, right?
Really, and really try to get, you know, there's sometimes when, you know, when you have that conscious of mind and your light switches on and you're saying, you know what, I'm tired, I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden you're at hyper speed and you're doing what you need to do. Now, of course, I say slow down, but what I'm saying is when you get locked into the zone, you know what it feels like. So when those negative thoughts happen, get locked into that zone of, you don't belong here. The thought really is, you know, the plot really is this. Stand firm, because what's going on around you is shaky ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having an awareness of the things that could happen and also being prepared for it, okay, you know, it
Mhm.
helps you get into that neutrality. So,
Yes.
again, it's this predictive programming thing. We're not into predictive programming and predicting all the things that are going to be done to us, but what we're predicting here is the fact that we are heading towards a world of unspeakable beauty. We are in control of our own destiny, because we always have been. It's just that we have been unconsciously guided to actually, you know, bring into reality the dark agenda, you know, unknowingly, because but now is the time to realize, and
Yes.
that's so exciting.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a dark agenda within all of us. You know, I'm not saying that that is not there. That's how come we're able to be programmed and conditioned. But see it for what it is. Work with it. She spoke last week. We talked about, you know, which wolf are you feeding? So it's the same thing, but definitely be prepared in a physical, material sort of way. But also remember, preparation takes place on a spiritual level as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. Fantastic. Okay, so what do you think then, Jolé? Are we going to leap into meditation time?
Yes, let's go.
Right. Okay, so we have our friend Layti from the Galactic Federation of Light, who is going to lead into today's guided meditation visualization. Again, right on point, really empowering us to what is actually going on at the moment. No fear is required, just a bit of excitement about the transformations that are taking place. So hang on to your hats. Here we go. Bear with me a second.
In the grand tapestry, these blackouts will be remembered as trigger points. They triggered changes in policy, yes, but more importantly to us, they triggered changes in awareness. Think of how many people who perhaps never contemplated the fragility of modern life are now talking about resilience, about community prepping, about renewable energy, about spirituality, about helping neighbors. These conversations, multiplied across society, generate momentum for transformation. It's often said among you, it's always darkest before the dawn. We would amend that. Sometimes it gets a bit dark so that the dawn can be more fully appreciated and embraced. Beloved ones, the dawn is coming. We speak not of a single day's sun, but of the dawn of a new chapter in humanity's evolution. In this new dawn, you remember your power, the true power that doesn't rely on external electricity or gadgetry, the power of your consciousness, your unity, your love. The brief darkness you experienced is nothing compared to the brilliance of the light within you that it helped uncover. We see that light. To us, the earth has never been brighter than it is now, after so many of you chose love in a moment of trial. As you move forward, carry these insights with you. Prepare on the physical level, certainly. It is wise and responsible to build robust systems and have contingencies. But equally prepare on the spiritual level. Cultivate inner peace, adaptability, and faith. When you light a candle or switch on a flashlight, remember, you too are a light switch. You can choose to switch on your heart light at any time, especially when outer lights fade. And indeed, we see humanity learning to become human power stations, radiating stability and hope, such that even if all the world went dark, a network of illuminated hearts would guide the way. We will conclude with an image for you. Visualize the Earth from space during the blackout. Normally at night, the continents glitter with city lights. During the event, a big patch of Europe went dark. But in our sight, something else glittered even more. The heart lights of millions of souls, sparking to life as they faced the dark. It was as if the stars themselves had come down to rest upon the earth in a new form. That image, dear ones, is the promise of your future. When human hearts light up, they outshine any man-made illumination. That inner light is divine, infinite, and cannot be extinguished by any earthly circumstance. So fear not the darkness, individually or collectively. Embrace it as the womb of creation, the canvas upon which you will paint the next scene of the human story. We are here, lovingly holding the edges of that canvas, supporting you as you create. In your moments of doubt, call upon us. Call upon any beings of light you resonate with and feel our guidance. The blackouts came to pass, not to stay. They were passing events, but the enlightenment they sparked in your minds and hearts, that is here to stay. Nurture it, grow it, share it. In doing so, you ensure that the next time challenges arise, you greet them not with panic, but with the poise of an awakened soul, knowing that all is well and that from every shadow, the light will emerge stronger. We love you, we honor you, and we reassure you. Your world is ascending through every challenge. Take heart in the knowledge that even in the darkest hour, you are collectively moving towards the dawn. We thank you for listening, and we are always with you in unseen ways. Be at peace and be the light.
You are the light, so let's bring more light into our lives and into our bodies. Put your feet flat on the floor. Your palms face up on your thighs. For those of you laying down, please keep your feet flat for the beginning part of the meditation. And as you bring your awareness to the center of your chest, just begin to breathe with the rhythm of your body. And while you are here, in this place where they say is a symbol of love, feel a sense of gratitude just for yourself, just for you and who you are. Just feel so much overwhelming love for yourself, knowing that the divine runs through you, divinity. Just be grateful that you are in a body and you have a soul and you have a heart. As you breathe with this love, ground your energy into Mother Earth by visualizing a grounding cord 6 inches in diameter of a natural earth element moving through her layers, moving down through all of the light that makes up Mother Earth. The light expression as you root yourself into her core and you share some of that gratitude with Mother Earth. Thank you so much. And now all of those beautiful rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles blanket the inside and the outside of your grounding cord, cleaning off any of the energy that no longer serves you, that you're ready to let go of and release, while simultaneously your aura becomes 1.5 feet around you. Your higher self stands at the power position at a comfortable distance above your crown, and your astral body snaps itself into your physical body. Your feet open like the lens of a camera as you call in 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you, pooling in the bottoms of your feet, traveling up the side channels of your legs, while that crown opens and that gold cosmic divine life force energy and light comes cascading down from the heavens, raining down on your higher self, focusing itself down through the aura layer into your crown, marinating, saturating your brain, maturing, pushing forward the growth in that prefrontal cortex, decalcifying that pineal gland as it moves out those animalistic qualities and that reptilian energy from the limbic system, and then it begins to move down that spine, lighting up each vertebra on its way down, powering up that nervous system as it begins to meet that earth energy in that first chakra. And then it starts to fill you up like water fills up a cup. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body and know that you are safe, divinely protected, and you are a creator of your own reality. So bring in this divine essence and allow it to fill you up, recalibrating all of your systems, resolving that predictive programming that's getting in the way of your most loving good. Removing those roadblocks within you on this journey of life and love. As that essence moves into the stomach, moving out any discomfort, moving up, up, up into the chest, bifurcating, separating, moving down into the hands, and then it begins to sprout out of the feet, hands, and crown chakras. Filling up our aura layers, moving out anything that no longer serves us, that we're willing to let go of, ready to let go of and release, moving in so much more resiliency, joy, and love, with a heaping dose of forgiveness and neutrality. And as this essence works through our spiritual architecture, we're going to bring our awareness now to our root chakra. And we are going to activate this light code. And how do you do that? As this essence of earth energy and cosmic divine life force energy is powering up your systems and creating that beautiful supportive nervous system, which is pushed out into your aura layer, I want you to see that first chakra as a beautiful ball of red light and watch it spin. And as it spins, it lets out a beam of light going out in front of you and behind you. Beautiful red light. And it also goes to the right of you and to the left of you. So that light is creating this beautiful horizontal. As it comes down from that gold light, it creates it north, south, east, and west. This beautiful red light, this light code is grounding you and rooting you into Mother Earth. But it is also creating a system of manifestation for you. So activate this light code and allow for this north, south, east, and west horizontal energy that is pouring from your root chakra to allow you to manifest. Feel what it feels like to sit into this rooting of manifestation. And now you bring your awareness to your heart, and you see that beautiful green ball of love spinning in your chest. And as that earth energy and cosmic divine life force energy activates, north, south, east, and west, this beautiful light ball beams out of you, creating this horizontal energy of light and blessings of love, locking you into a loving vibration, which will only allow you to magnetize in love and the people and the things that love you back. We're going to let these do their thing as we bring our awareness to our crown, and we see that beautiful ball of purple energy, silver and gold mixed in. It's just a tapestry of beauty, of joy, of laughter, of messages from the divine, of blessings and of gifts. And allow for this light beam to just north, south, east, and west, these beautiful beams of light, activating you, connecting you to that nervous system, going all the way out to that toroidal field, out into the universe, attracting nothing to you but your intuition, your spiritual guidance. It's like a GPS system leading you down the right path towards your most loving good. We activate these light codes from a place of love. Our society and this timeline is moving into such high levels of technology that these light codes are going to allow us to get into alignment with them. So we have turned on activated three beautiful light codes within us. The root, connecting us to reality, to Mother Earth, the heart, connecting us to love and to others, and that crown, connecting us to the messages from the divine. And divinity is not just God, there's so many other expressions. Open yourself up to the light, to all that is good. Allow it to power up your cells, leading you. You're like a beacon towards unspeakable beauty. Allow for this essence to move through your body, move through your environment as you breathe with the rhythm of your body. And you are rooted and grounded into Mother Earth, into the loving vibrations of this world, and into the divinity that dwells within this universe. You are what you are looking for. Release the fear down your grounding cord. Allow for this essence to resolve and dissolve any doubt, any worry, and allow for all of this beautiful light code to bring in your confidence, your self-esteem, your knowingness of who you are as you sit in the gratitude of you. There dwells the power. You are a being of light and blessings with permission to manifest your own reality. Lock in with your new technology. So take a deep breath in. Exhale. Light up that toroidal field and see how the root, the heart, and the crown are connecting with their north, south, east, west energy with this toroidal field. See how safe it feels to be in your body as that nervous system has just pushed itself out into your aura layer, as that beautiful pyramid with the capstone spins and that white light comes down, encompassing you and your entire universe, turning on so much more of your ability to be intuitive, to be loving, to be joyful, and to manifest. So sit in this space as that bright light encompasses you and your energy, making you clean, clear, filled with gold light, and bringing you into the present moment. As that grounding cord sloughs off those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles, and just as a beam of bright light, feeding that energy all around you. You are what you are looking for. You are that divine light. So sit in your energy and create from this space tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next month and the next year. Create it, see it, feel it. You have activated new information within you that are unlocking blessings and gifts that make you limitless. So as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, see yourself at your zenith. See yourself being guided by that most loving part of you, molding that clay of creation of your life and of your future from this present moment of love, of joy, and of creativity. As this essence moves throughout your body, cleaning out all those channels, activating those blessings and those gifts within you. Hold the space. And now, I want you to take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, you want to close the bottoms of your feet and see that earth energy recede back down to Mother Earth. I want you to take another deep breath in and exhale and close your hand chakra. And allow for that energy to settle. Take another deep breath in and exhale and close your crown. It's still got that beautiful purple ball there that stays. Permanently, you are lit up and activated in these chakras. As you watch that gold light ascend back up into the heavens, knowing that you have been activated to go forth and manifest with love, with joy, and with creativity. Take another deep breath in, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
I love that. It really felt like the activation process, and I love the fact that just focusing on those three main centers to create
Yes.
activation top to bottom. That was brilliant. Thank you, Jolé. I was inspired.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and it is truly a blessing.
Yes, yes, it's a blessing for us as well on this end. So, so thank you, thank you. Okay, wrap up time. The first thing to mention again, I said at the outset, this is the last program we're going to do live for 3 weeks because I am on my travels once again. Next weekend is at the Galactic Spiritual Informers down on the south coast of England, and then I am going over to Austria, where we're doing some planning on behalf of Elevated Planet over in the Alps, and Jolé will be joining me virtually. Sorry, it's only virtually.
Yes, for now.
For now. Next time, next time.
Yes.
But yeah, that's going to be interesting. But it gives us an opportunity to plan to the expansion of the Elevated Planet community platform, and to be able to reach people and to, just spread the love and spread the joy. That's what it's all about. So, and then the newsletter. Okay, so newsletter's going out tomorrow, as per usual, with the recording of this show. And also, just to mention again, WhatsApp community, anybody who's interested in joining, because like Jolé's doing her daily dose now of the inspiration of the kinds that we witnessed during the live shows as well. So come and join us. The link is down there in all the wording on the YouTube down below. And there's other links as well from the show today that I will coordinate there as well. So other than that, what else do we want to add, Jolé?
As always, we spoke about it earlier, how, shadow banning can possibly be in effect. So we would love it if you would like, share, subscribe, but definitely the share part and get the word out about what we are doing.
And anybody who wants to join our community on the distribution list to go on to receive the newsletter, just send me an email to johndrew@elevatedplanet.life, or go through our website, elevatedplanet.life/contact, and that gets you through to the contact page. And not just to ask to go on the distribution list, but any questions that you might have, thoughts, or anything that you wish to share, then we welcome that. Anybody who needs any healing energy put in their way, just let us know, because that's part of what we can do. We can put the happy vibes out there in a community sharing kind of way, and that's powerful. Community consciousness, right? That's what leads
Right.
us to our world of unspeakable beauty. So,
Absolutely.
any last thoughts, Jolé?
No, just everyone take care and much love.
Yes, I will second all of that. And thank you, thank you, thank you to the community for being here today, for the points, the questions, the thoughts that came through. And we love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Everything else, share it as crazily as you can. And look forward to seeing you live in 3 weeks. Meanwhile, we will be back to you with a recording for the shows for the next 2 weeks. Take care.